Good morning and welcome back to Retirement Resilience. I am Jason, and today we are going to talk about what it's like to finally hit rock bottom in retirement. Maybe some of you have already experienced this. Maybe some of you are afraid that you might experience this. Maybe you're looking into your retirement situation and wondering, if you could do it, and this may be one of your concerns. For me, obviously, it's something that I look back at and I say, wow, man, I did it to myself. There's a lot to say about that. There's a lot that happened. In 2003, when I was forced to retire, forced to collect a disability income and have a set income, especially as a single father, there was a lot of mental and emotional stuff beyond the financial side of things that I was personally dealing with. And I've made a lot of poor choices. And I sit back today and I look back and I say to myself, you never really grow fully until you make the mistake. You create that issue to learn from. And I definitely have done a lot of that. And in pure transparency, I've been doing this now for 22 years, going on my 22nd year of having to deal with early retirement, forced early retirement at that. And I've continued to make mistakes. I can only hope that the mistakes that I've made only are going to do me justice moving forward into, the second half, if you will. Uh, Really, my retirement years, early retirement years, by the way. I'm only going to be 52 this calendar year, so it's not as if I'm, retiring in my 60s or 70s. This is something that I've been dealing with for 20 years, and I'm 50, and I'm facing it right down the barrel once again. But I hit rock bottom at 40 years old after being early released and dealing with 10 years of poor choices. I found myself with two kids, single father, on a set income, moving back into my mother's house. And man, it was very hard. First and foremost, I had to take some time just to rest my mind, to rest my heart, to really just kind of heal. I was brokenhearted. I was broke, um, and my credit was destroyed. I didn't know what my next move was going to be, how I was going to do it, what it looked like. It is just pure impact to the floor, to the bottom of the cliff, to the bottom of the canyon, whatever word you want to use. I had to do a lot of self reflecting. I had to do a lot of pointing the finger at myself, which, is not easy to do. By nature, we tend to want to look at all the things that other people did to us. That's the first reaction. And I definitely had grounds to do so. I definitely could have sat there and pointed to my ex wife and been like, wow, you kind of knew what you were getting into, right? And then I could point all the fingers, but you know what? I should have recognized that I wasn't ready either. I should have recognized that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the right man for her either. No, instead, out of selfishness, out of loneliness, out of only caring about my feelings and what I was going through at the time, I was going to give this girl my time because she was willing at the moment to accept me for where I was at. And just because down the road she had second thoughts, cold feet, and realized, wow, I'm with the guy that is not going to be able to financially set me free, she walked out. And that was hard. That was really hard. We get along now. We raise a daughter together. Our daughter is actually going to be graduating this year. She's aging out. And, I'm really proud of the woman my daughter has become. And she didn't let, her, challenges in life hold her back. And I'm very proud of her. But again, we both shouldn't have been together. We realize that now. She made a mistake. I made a mistake. And it takes some grown adults to be able to look at each other and just admit that. And I think that helps us be friends today. And what else could you ask for? It's just to be friends, create peace. I'd like to say that happened, and I would love to say that was part of the wake up moment for me as I find myself at rock bottom, but it wasn't. And might be even fair to say that I kind of used that to fuel me. The things that I feel that she did and made me feel kind of gave me the fuel I needed to make that next step, to start climbing out of the canyon and trying to work my way back up into stable ground. You know, maybe I should thank her for that as I talk this out and the feelings come back up a little bit. But at the end of the day, I I had to really humble myself. I had to accept the first thing I had to accept, first and foremost, is that back in 2003, my life changed forever. It just changed forever. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you fast forward to 2014, you know, this was another opportunity for me to ground my feet and just look at things from a different perspective, you know. I'm still young at this point. I mean, 40 years old, I mean, the reality wasn't going to change for me at that point in time. A career wasn't on the horizon. There wasn't another opportunity there. There's not nothing that was going to magically happen that all of a sudden, unless I went down to the local 7-Eleven or mom and pop shop and bought a lottery ticket and hit it big. And if you ever went down that rabbit hole, that usually don't end well. It just creates another cycle of throwing money at nothing. I mean, the odds of that are crazy. I have better odds of getting a job than I do winning the lottery, and that's saying a lot. So, rock bottom's not fun. My question for you all, I'm very curious. In your life journey, or even as you maybe are looking to prep for retirement, whether it's at a proper age or maybe some early retirement. I see a lot of people these days trying to retire early, figuring they're going to live their best life. I'm not second guessing that, but there's a lot that comes along with that. Are they prepared? Have they hit their rock bottom? Have they really seen the light at the end of the tunnel for them in their life? A lot of us, we have the opportunity to retire properly and have the funds to live a comfortable life. Some even retire and don't lose their life at all. They get to maintain the lifestyle they always created for themselves. But the majority of people, I would say majority, I can't give you, I don't believe in statistics because you can't talk to every single person. I know when I see them say, oh, there's 80% of retired people, I'm like, well, I'm part of that. I'm technically retired. No one's asked me the question, regardless of what age group I fall under. So statistics in me are hit and miss, but I would definitely say the majority of us who enter the retirement world, whether we were forced there or did it deliberately, are under or at the poverty level. We're not necessarily retiring with an abundance of money, and we end up finding out that it's maybe a little bit harder, and that definitely changes have to be made, whether you were fortunate enough to make that change before or you figured it out after. And depending on where you're at on that spectrum, rock bottom is inevitable, and it's really your whole life is how you're able to look at that and function. For me, when I look back at everything from the time that I walked into Gary's barbershop and got a job sweeping hair and dusting shelves and folding towels, like that was the beginning of setting myself up to become resilient in life, to build integrity, to build a work ethic, learn to dust myself up and keep pushing forward. And I'll forever be grateful. Rest in peace, Gary, man. What a great man. What a great man giving a kid an insight on life at such an early age. And then even today, I continue to push forward. I continue to fight. I'm never going to give up. It doesn't never mean that I'll never find rock bottom again, but I know at least that when I do, I have a process that unfortunately I've had to develop through a lot of mistakes, some unavoidable and some that I created for myself, that I can stand up, dust myself up and say, you know what? There's a light at the end of the tunnel and I'm just going to keep walking towards it. Just going to keep going. I'm going to keep pushing forward. I can't stop. I can't stop. I'm just going to find a way to be happy. And that's the journey we're on now. Again. And I'm looking forward to it. Pretty excited about it, to be honest with you. But anyway, I really appreciate the time that you all take to watch these videos, whether you're watching it as it's released or maybe you're finding it later. I hope it gives you a different perspective. I hope it opens your eyes and your heart and your mind to the reality that, not everything has to be someone else's fault, that we have to own at least 10% of our struggle. And we need to figure out how we fix that, because no one's going to fix it for us. Retirement ain't easy. Let me know your thoughts, where you guys are at in your retirement journey. How have you coped? How have you made the changes in your life to make retirement just a little bit easier, just 1% easier even? Anyways, retirement is not the end. It's just a test for a new beginning. I think I messed that up, but again, no cuts. But it's a test of who we're going to become next. There it is. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, share the video, and I'll see you guys on the next video.